Yes, this is a real plant in Grow a Garden, and yes, that is in fact a smiley face on it. It almost looks like a sentient flower thingy, and those lucky enough to get its seed can cultivate it and actually grow it in their very own garden. However, as you might have guessed, there is a huge catch to that. This special flower plant is only available to admins, so it's unlikely any of you viewers will be able to get it. Still, there is a very small chance you might be able to obtain it in a future update, and that's largely why I'm making this video. Hello everyone, and welcome to another Grow a Garden video. Today we'll be discussing this strange little fella over here, this extremely rare flower with a smiley face, who I'm sure none of you probably know about. This thing is what is known as a noble flower. Yeah, I know it's a weird name, and apparently its story is a whole lot stranger. We have got a lot to discuss about this little guy in this video, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so our story starts with this YouTuber by the name of It's Vexo. A lot of the information for this video was provided by theirs, so make sure you check out what they have to say in their video after watching this one. Anyways, Vexo was lucky enough to be given the noble flower by the admins, and from their video we were able to gain a ton of valuable information about what exactly this crop is and how it functions. Alright, so visually, as I'm sure you're all aware, the noble flower has 8 blue petals, as well as a yellow center. It also has a smiley face on its center featuring a nose which sticks out. I'm pretty sure all of you knew that based on the images I showed you. Now, you may be wondering why this crop looks a little goofy, and that's because it's not actually an original plant from Grow a Garden. Its origins come from a small Roblox game named Fantastic Frontier, which contains a plant titled the Blue Noble Flower that has the signature characteristics of the Grow a Garden Noble Flower, such as the blue petals as well as the smiley face. So, does this mean Grow a Garden and Fantastic Frontier are doing a collaboration event? Well, I doubt that's the case. Instead, I think the Noble Flower is just a fun reference to Fantastic Frontier instead of something as a part of an actual collaboration event between the two games. Still, despite this plant being exclusive to developers only, it still functions like a completely usable crop. So, with that being said, is the Noble Flower any good? Let's say hypothetically you are lucky enough as It's Vexo to receive this crop as a gift from the admins. Is it even worth planting? Well, let's take a look at its characteristics. The Noble Flower, unlike some other crops in the game such as mushrooms, can be regrown after being harvested for the first time. And we know that as after It's Vexo harvested the flower in his video, the stem remained, proving that eventually he'll be able to harvest it again when the flower regrows. Additionally, when It's Vexo decided to go check on the crop's value, it was only worth a measly $30,000, an amount that, although sounds like a lot, is actually very small, especially when compared to the other plants in the game. For comparison, let's look at the sell price of a sugar apple. Now, as I'm sure you're probably aware, this is currently the second best plant you can obtain from the normal seed shop in the game, and after looking at the worth of a standard one without any mutations, it's worth about $40,000. Now, it's no secret that obtaining a sugar apple is a difficult task. I mean, it rarely ever goes on sale, but I mean, come on! I'm sure thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people own at least one, especially since the admins made it go on sale purposefully multiple times in the past. The Noble Flower is way more difficult to obtain, as you actually need an admin to give it to you, a privilege I'm sure not many people have. So, for this plant to be worth less than a sugar apple, yet 100 times more difficult to obtain, I don't see it as being practical at all to get in terms of using it to gain a profit. Or is it? You see, although selling the Noble Flower directly is a complete waste of time, I'm willing to bet that selling one to other players would be a good way to make money, inside and outside of the game. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Grow a Garden has an absolutely horrid real-life trading scene. Just join their Discord server and look at any of the channels and you'll see what I mean. Left and right, people are buying and selling in-game items for either other stuff in-game or just straight-up real-world money. And I think that's where the true value of the Noble Flower comes from. Now, just putting it out there, I don't condone or recommend selling Grow a Garden items for real-world money. I'm pretty sure that's illegal in some places. However, selling items for other items in-game game or just in-game currency could be a good way to obtain previously unattainable items. The noble flower, although not really worth anything in-game, likely has an inflated reputation within the Grow Garden community simply for being extremely rare, given how only admins can give it to players, and that means it could be used to get rich inside of the game by selling them to other players, whether that be in terms of owning valuable items or having a lot of in-game currency. In this sense, the noble flower being sought after could be its saving grace, turning this once previously useless item to one that is very, very valuable. However, that isn't all though, as I have a strong suspicion that maybe noble flowers won't just be for admins only, as at some point regular players like you or me could obtain them. I don't think you guys understand just how many Grow Garden plants get leaked prior to their actual debut. For example, all 3 plants shown on the screen, the Traveler's Fruit, the Lily of the Valley, and the Burning Bud, were all plants we knew were going to be added simply because they were all leaked by other members of the community. If you look at it on a surface level, the noble flower is in the exact same scenario as those other plants that I mentioned, where it is just being shown to us early and eventually we may be able to obtain it. Naturally though, having the ability to regularly obtain noble flowers would completely shatter their rarity, which may be bad for those who already own the crop, and that might incentivize the developers not to do that. However, there does exist another reason as to why I don't think this crop will ever be available to the public, and that is just the nature of it. As I had previously stated, the noble flower exists just as one big reference to another game, and that likely means it won't be added as a permanent addition to this game. And given how I don't see it as being likely that Grow Garden and Fantastic Frontier would ever collab, I highly doubt the noble flower would be given to the public at all. This is rather unfortunate, as I do think this crop does look really cool, and it adds a nice contrast from the other plants seen in the game simply due to how goofy it looks. Still, this does mean it is very special if you are gifted the noble flower by an admin, or obtain it through another method such as trading. And since it likely would never be available publicly, then I don't even want to think about how much a noble flower seed would cost if you obtained it from another player. That's gotta be billions, if not trillions of in-game currency for just one crop if I had to guess. Still, given how useless the noble flower actually is, I'm unsure if its rarity would even make it sought after by the wire player base, as people just straight up might not care about its existence, as according to my knowledge, barely anybody knows this plant exists at all. Anyways, that was basically everything I wanted to discuss in this video about the noble flower. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of this plant, as I genuinely believe it's a very cool crop, and maybe one day you or I could get our hands on one. Imagine having this cute little smiley face flower in your garden just growing alongside random plants like carrots or tomatoes. Again, I want to give a big thanks to Vexo, who provided a lot of the information for this video, such as the fact that the flower is renewable as well as how it only sells for $30,000 of in-game currency. I will be leaving a link to their video showcasing the plant in the description, which I highly recommend you check out as it provides a much deeper insight into the plant than what I provided here. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of the noble flower, as well as if you believe it will be made obtainable to the wider player base at some point, as I wouldn't mind having these happy little flowers in my garden. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.